Good morning children, how are you doing all? Now we are today starting with the chapter 16, Air Around Us, from Unit 7, Natural Resources. Now let us quick check on introduction. Air is present all around us, yes, but it is not visible to us. Can you see air? We can feel the presence of air when leaves of trees rustle or clothes hanging on the clothesline sway, or pages of an open book begin fluttering and the weathercock moves, indicating the direction of wind. The air present around us goes up to 1000 km above the sea level, but 99% of air is present up to the height of 30 km only. Most negligible air exists above the height as air becomes thinner with increase in height. Negligible means approximately nothing, negligible. Above the height as air becomes thinner with increase in height. As a result, mountaineers have to carry oxygen cylinders with them. So they are telling that over here at lower atmosphere, in troposphere, where you are living, there is high density of air. But as you go towards the mountain, in this layer of troposphere, you will feel thinner layer. So mountaineers need oxygen cylinder with them to breathe. And these are again different layers of atmosphere. First your troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and after thermosphere is the outer space. Air is present all around. Yes children, as water, air is also very much precious to us. Air is present everywhere, even in empty container. It is the air that makes ships, sailboats, aeroplanes, windmills move. Moving air is called wind, and when it moves gently, it is breeze. आप लोग बोलते हो ना ठंडी हवा चल रही है, तो that is breeze. The blanket of air surrounding the earth is called as atmosphere. Yeah, these are the layers of atmosphere. So this is a blanket. It is divided into 5 different layers, namely troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. Now troposphere. First of all, discuss about troposphere. It is the most dense part of the atmosphere. It is dense. Dense मतलब घना, बहुत ज़्यादा है. क्या है? Air. Formation of clouds and weather changes takes place in this layer. Now what is stratosphere? Stratosphere is the layer in which aeroplane fly. When you take flight, you go in the stratosphere. तो बादलों के ऊपर आ जाते हैं हम लोग. The ozone layer which protects us from the harmful ultraviolet radiations coming from the sun is in the stratosphere. There is a layer called as ozone layer because it protects us from sun's ultraviolet radiations which are not good for us. Mesosphere, it is in the middle. Meso means middle. What you can see is meteoroids is the coldest layer. Meteors burn in this layer, so thus protecting the earth from the meteors. Thermosphere, the upper zone, again it is the layer in which the satellite move. We launch the satellites and they go over here. So it's the layer in which the satellite move in their respective orbits in this layer. This layer is very thin children and very hot, so you cannot survive over here. Exosphere contains the least amount of air. Beyond exosphere, no air exists, so it is called as space. Now, do you know children, windmill taps the energy. This is for what? Tapping the energy. So it is windmill that taps the energy of the wind and makes it available for productive purposes. The wind makes the windmill rotates. How these move? These move through the action of air. So these are the easy questions which you can solve. The name of the 5 layer of atmosphere, you can write it down. Now let us discuss about who was Svante Arrhenius. He was a Swedish scientist, did his doctoral thesis, that means he did his PhD on the chemical theory of electrolytes. Now let us see what was it. Arrhenius became a founder of the first secretary of Stockholm Physical Society, a group of scientists whose interest included geology, meteorology, astronomy. Geology मतलब earth की study, soil की study, soil के नीचे चीज़ों की study, meteorology मतलब स्पेस, एस्ट्रोनॉमी अगेन स्पेस, His association with his cis society helped stimulate his interest in cosmic physics. This physics of the earth, sea and atmosphere, Svante Arrhenius was the first person to investigate the effect that doubling of atmospheric carbon dioxide would have on global climate. He wondered whether the mean temperature of the ground was in any way influenced by the presence of heat-absorbing gas in the atmosphere. So, his question was debated upon throughout the early part of 20th century and is still a main concern of scientists today. What he wondered? He wondered whether the mean temperature of the ground was in any way influenced by the presence of heat-absorbing gases in the atmosphere. So, we have already discussed greenhouse gases, isn't it, children? So, his main question was this, कि अर्थ का टेम्परेचर क्या ये ट्रैप कर रहा है एटमॉस्फेयर सन की हीट को या फिर हमारी अर्थ का टेम्परेचर कोई और चीज़ कंट्रोल करती है कि नहीं और गैसेस उनको एब्जॉर्ब करते हैं कि नहीं. His question was debated upon throughout the early part of 20th century and is still a main concern of science today. Arrhenius was awarded Nobel Prize for Chemistry for his work in the electrolytic theory of dissociation. So when you will grow up, you will definitely be studying that. Composition of air. Let us have a quick check on this. Air is a mixture of many gases and these gases can be identified separately. Air mainly contains about 78% of nitrogen. This is the pie chart, children. You can see over here 78% of blue color, that is nitrogen. 21% of oxygen. See, 21% of oxygen is the pink color. Yes, and about 0.9% of argon and other noble gases. Now, 0.03% of carbon dioxide is also present in this pie chart. Traces of some other gases along with varying quantity of water vapors. Let us look at the different constituent of air in details. Now, let us see. Oxygen. Support life, yes, and all living beings inhale oxygen. Oxygen is used by living beings to get energy from the food they eat. Oxygen is taken in through the lungs by the living beings which live on land. Worms and other living beings which live in marshy areas like earthworm breathe through their moist skin. So in this paragraph you may see now and then, by any means, all the living creatures are absorbing oxygen. They are breathing, whether there is skin, whether it is gills, whether it is lungs. Yes, so we have organs. All the organisms have different organs to inhale oxygen. Now, animals like fish living in water breathe through gills, which absorb the dissolved oxygen from the water. Some animals like amphibians have both lungs and gills to breathe. You might be knowing this, which enable them to live in water as well as on land. Oh, plants breathe through small openings which they generally have on the low side of their leaves called as stomata. So, with the animals, the plants are also breathing. What they are breathing? Oxygen. They are breathing air also. They are taking carbon dioxide also from the air, isn't it? And releasing oxygen. So, that is done by stomata. Floating plants have these stomata on the upper side of their leaves. So, anyhow, they are breathing. Whether they are terrestrial, whether they are aquatic. Underwater plants do not have any stomata as they breathe through their surface. Oxygen supports combustion. What is another use of oxygen? There is combustion. Burning can only occur in the presence of oxygen. If there is no oxygen, we have already done many of the activities. We have read activities in the earlier chapter. Without oxygen, burning cannot take place. Okay, so this is the activity which we have already read earlier in the chapter. Nitrogen, it is the major component of air. Nitrogen is used by us to prepare fertilizers. Yes, the first use is fertilizer, which are used to provide vital nitrogen to the plants. Children, plant needs nitrogen in large quantity. It is a non-supporter of combustion. So, if nitrogen is there and you want to extinguish the fire, you use nitrogen and is filled in electric bulbs. Okay, carbon dioxide is a minor but an important component in air. since it is a balanced form, it is important. But if we create pollution, lot of carbon dioxide will be added in the atmosphere. Now that will not be good for us. It is a non-supporter of combustion. It is also a fire extinguishing gas. Plants and animals utilize oxygen for respiration and produce carbon dioxide. Burning of plant and animal matter also utilizes oxygen and produce mainly carbon dioxide. So you are seeing here that oxygen is utilized in burning and carbon dioxide is produced through burning. So we should not burn lot of fuels, petrol, diesel for maintaining the balance of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Okay, we inhaled in excess carbon dioxide may cause suffocation. Now what is suffocation? दम घुटना. ठीक है, तो किसी बंद कमरे में हम धुआं छोड़ेंगे तो हम क्या करते हैं, सांस नहीं ले पाते हैं, तो उस चीज को suffocation बोलते हैं. That means you are suffocated. Plants use up carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. Okay, now water vapors. Are they important? Let us read. Air contain water vapor. When air comes in contact with cool surface, the water vapor condenses into tiny drops on the cool surface. These water vapor in air is important for the water cycle in nature. So yes, they are important because in the earlier chapter we have seen the water cycle. Yes, dust and smoke. Now who is creating this dust and smoke? See this picture 16.3. We are creating. Yes, this is not good for our health too. The burning of fuel produces smoke. This smoke contains fine dust particles which are harmful. Most of the factories have tall chimneys. Can you guess why? So the smoke can be released higher in the atmosphere. Smoke is harmful. See children, these have tall chimneys, so then the upper layer, the carbon dioxide will be released. If it is released near your houses, they will not let you live. Okay, so it is released in the upper layer, but still it is not good for your health. Quickly do the checkpoint. Do you know, photosynthesis and respiration are two major biological processes and both of them are opposite to each other. Yes, photosynthesis may be represented by the following equation. Try to think about it children. Carbon dioxide is utilized from air, water is taken from the soil, and in the presence of sunlight, at the site of chlorophyll, plant make food that is called as glucose, and as a byproduct, oxygen is also released, which is very much important for us. Now, respiration may be represented by the following word equation. What is happening? Whatever food we eat, it mixes with the oxygen we breathe, and then we release carbon dioxide, water, and lot of energy we get to do work. So these are two different processes, two different phenomena, and two different chemical word equations which you can learn and you can observe what is happening during photosynthesis and what is happening during respiration. Balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in atmosphere. So I have already told you this pie chart should be maintained as it is. If little of the proportion is being disbalanced, it will be a great problem for us. In photosynthesis, plants make their own food and oxygen is released. Plants also absorb oxygen for respiration, but they produce more of it than they take up. When we know that animal cannot live without plants as they are all dependent on plant for their food, plants also cannot survive for long without animals as they need carbon dioxide to prepare food which is released by animals. Therefore, both plants and animals need each other, or in other words, plants and animals are interdependent. That means one is dependent on another and each other. This way the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide is maintained in the atmosphere. Okay children, now we come to air pollution. The smoke, the dust we are creating in the atmosphere, in the air. The addition of harmful substance in the environment or air is called as pollution, and such harmful substances are called pollutants. Air is important for the survival of living beings on earth, but air is continuously getting polluted mainly by the activities of human beings. Yes, we admit we are the culprit. Yes, this polluted air causes difficulty in breathing, lung disease like asthma, lung cancer, conjunctivitis. It also harms the crops, buildings, monuments. Degradation, kharab hona, of white marble of the Taj Mahal is due to air pollution. Okay children, air pollution is mainly caused by burning of fuels, release of gaseous waste from industries, volcanic eruption and forest fire. Do you know children, in 1984 a mishap happened in chemical factory of Bhopal. So it is called as Bhopal gas tragedy. What happened? This is regarded as the biggest disaster of chemical pollution in Indian history. In the incident, dangerously poisonous gas leaked out of the factory and led to the death of more than 2500 people, and about 2 to 6 lakh people got affected partially or completely by that deadly gas, of which about 20,000 people died later. So you understand what is the drastic effect of creating pollution? Yes. Atmosphere is blessing. Yes, that's why we are living on earth. Atmosphere around earth is protective layer. It maintains the optimum temperature. What do you mean by optimum? Ekdam napatula, है ना? सही. Temperature of the earth required for the survival of living things. The atmosphere prevents the sunlight which reaches the surface of the earth from escaping, and thus it keeps the earth warm. Therefore, it acts as a protective blanket around earth. The atmosphere has an ozone layer in it. It protects us from harmful ultraviolet rays which come from the sun. Exposure to ultraviolet rays causes skin cancer. All weather changes like rainfall, snowfall, cyclones, storms, etc. are caused due to atmosphere. Now quickly go through the point to remember. The blanket of the air around the earth is called as atmosphere. 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen and other gases and traces, which include carbon dioxide, argon and other noble gases, water vapor and dust particles. All animals and plants need air. Animals breathe through lungs, plants through stomata, aquatic animals like fish through gills. The presence of undesirable substance in air make it unfit to breathe. Undesirable, जो नहीं चाहिए. And this is called as air pollution. Now, what is the importance of ozone layer? Recall fast. It is the protective layer around the earth and protect us from harmful rays coming from the sun. So children, this ends the chapter and I think now you will be able to complete the exercise on page number 191 and 192. So we will meet in the next chapter. Thank you very much.